Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tatiana Show. It is December, and it's not really that cold, December 6th, 2016, here in New Jersey, and I am broadcasting to you live from my apartment studio, inner sanctum. And today I'm joined by a few different guests, but first I wanted to welcome on my co-host, who I haven't seen in a little while, Josh Shigala. How you doing, bud?
Good. Going well. It was really good to see you over here in Europe, which was fantastic.
Yeah, it seems like forever ago. It's been quite intense since I've gotten back, and I haven't had a day where I haven't had to be in public for like 5 weeks. So I'm looking forward to a weekend.
Don't know.
I'm sorry?
We had a great talk here given by Tatiana about everything Ross Ulbricht and also everything Tatiana coin and how artist coins are revolutionizing the way that artists can raise money. So it's really some really interesting stuff. And where did you go? All through Europe, right?
I was
You're
in
not going to
Buenos
Warsaw
Aires,
after Berlin.
Buenos Aires, Amsterdam, London, Berlin, and Warsaw. So it was quite a trip. And then this past weekend, I was in Pennsylvania because I was helping out with the free Rossathon. I don't know if everybody's familiar with that, but it happened over the weekend. They're going to be releasing the videos for people to, watch different kind of segments, because we had over 30 different guests come on and talk about why they support Ross Ulbricht, why they are interested in seeing justice served in the Silk Road trial. And you'll never believe how much money we raised. Guess.
How much money did we raise?
Well over $40,000. So
really?
Yeah. Well, we originally raised $23,500. There were a lot of very generous donors, but also a lot of very small donations that came in. And then Roger Ver came in toward the end of the show, and he offered to double and basically price match anybody else who had donated. So we're still looking for the final tally.
What a guy.
Yeah, very exciting. We were impressed with that, and overall the generosity of all the guests and all the people that came together for the event. So we're going to be doing a special edition of the Tatiana Show right after this one with Lynn Ulbricht. And we're also going to be talking about the new book that I'm featured in with a friend of mine. Well, lots of friends of mine. So anyway, let's bring on our first guest. Benjamin Lozano is actually a doctor, which I wanted to talk about for some reason. But he and I had a conversation because he started a project called TNBX.live. So if people go there, they can kind of find out a little bit more. It's a True North Business Exchange. And when we first discussed it, I was a little confused what we were talking about, but he actually had a lot of really great insights that I thought we could talk about on the show. And I'll let him explain his platform a little bit more. So Ben, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm a fan of the Tatiana Show, so
thank you.
Feel honored to be here.
Oh, wonderful. Well, fill me in. Tell me a little bit about your background and what your crypto project is right now.
Okay, sure. So let me just talk about the project first, and then I can talk about my background as it relates to the project, sort of how I stumbled into this. True North Business Exchange is the world's first public market for buying and selling small business financial securities. I say it's the first because there isn't anything that exists like that. I know startups like to use hyperbole a lot, but we actually are the first. We're trying to build basically a New York stock and bond exchange for small businesses. So it's basically just a place where retail investors can come together and invest in small businesses, which are the backbone of the U.S. economy, and so that small businesses can gain access to an public finance, which historically they haven't had access to. So we're operating under a new legal space called Title III and Title IV, which makes it lawful to do. And we're using blockchain and blockchain-based technologies to drive our operations costs down and to facilitate peer-to-peer transactions and also provide the transparency that our users are going to want to have in a financial system.
So is it a good way for businesses to basically crowdfund or set up some sort of IPO, ICO, initial public offering through this platform? Or is it something that doesn't really work like that?
No, it can work that way. So to be clear, we don't really use the term crowdfunding much. I know people like that term. I mean, we all crowdfunded Google when Google went live. When Google did its IPO, we crowdfund large corporations, right?
Yeah.
We've been doing that on the New York Stock Exchange, the NASDAQ, and so on. But nobody thinks of it like that. They just call it a capital market. So we don't really use that term much because of the negative intonations it has. You have crowd logic, bubble logic, right? Things like that. So yeah, we do have startups who will be populating the platform who will be coming there and issuing shares in their company. So rather than issuing them in a private way to angel investors and VCs, we're building a public financial market for them. But I think really our bread and butter is going to be the 5.7 million qualified SMBs, small, medium-sized businesses, the Main Street businesses, the bedrock of the U.S. economy that make up 99% of all businesses. This is really going to be our backbone. And those people probably won't be issuing shares or equity. They're going to want to issue the equivalent of notes, the equivalent of loans. So basically, they'll be issuing notes, which are commoditized loans, basically bonds just with a shorter maturity.
Are these crypto assets?
Yeah, so the securities that are issued on the platform don't feel like they're crypto assets to our users. They just feel like an asset. But if you were to walk around the back end and peer under the hood, yeah, it's a crypto asset, sure.
So are you generating almost like Tatiana coins for each of them? Not to reference to, whatever, but is it like its own little token for each company?
Yeah, so each share is going to be denominated, and it's all cryptographically represented on a private Ethereum network.
Excellent. So what made you think that this was something that needed to exist?
Isn't it obvious?
Well, but how come it hasn't existed before?
So yeah, it hasn't existed before because in 1933, the Congress passed the 1933 SEC Act, which prohibited small businesses, which are private corporations, from raising capital from the general public. Well, actually, they can do it, but it costs a small business about $1 million to comply with all the securities requirements. To comply with modern securities law. And so if you're a small business and you're trying to raise $300,000 to buy the warehouse next door to expand your coffee roasting production or buy some new trucks or whatever the case may be, you can't afford to pay $1 million to raise $300,000. And so that means historically, for the last 80 years, small, medium-sized businesses have had access to one funding source. That's private funding. Right? If you're a small business, you can go with operational history, you can go to a bank and pull out a loan. Or if you're a startup and you don't have any operational history, you're going to go hat in hand to private equity. Well, that all changed in 2012 when Congress signed the Jobs Act, which included within it just a really small modification to the 1933 Securities Act, which just exempts small businesses now from having to comply with modern securities law. So it hasn't been lawful to do. That's one thing. And then so legally it hasn't been possible, but also technologically it hasn't been possible. Only with recent advances in API technology, only with the birth to being of distributed computing, smart contracts and so on, only with the recent advances that have been made in artificial intelligence, machine learning and so on, only recently has it been technologically possible. So True North really is just a happy coincidence of a change in the law and advances in technology, and we're leveraging that to create from scratch a 21st century digital platform that will inaugurate a new model of finance, a new way of doing finance. We can do things that just technologically weren't possible before.
Have other businesses tried to create something like this before? Other crypto businesses?
No crypto businesses. I think the original vision of Lending Club was to have a peer-to-peer financial platform, but the technology wasn't there yet. There was this great company called Webvan in the 90s during the internet boom. I don't know if you ever heard them. They had this great idea. They were going to deliver groceries to people's houses. And they went out of business because the product market fit wasn't there and the technology wasn't there. But that's basically what Amazon Fresh is today. So Lending Club initially was doing basically Webvan, and we intend to be Amazon Fresh.
Yeah, I mean, there was Havelock Investments. They were a way to invest in small businesses and small projects, mainly cloud mining facilities and stuff, because they were Bitcoin only at the time. But they're also an interesting outfit. Did the Jobs Act have much to do with the ability legally to structure this?
Yeah, so what the Jobs Act says, well, Jobs Act says a lot, but Title III and Title IV make these really small modifications to modern securities law. It allows now, for the first time in 80 years, for a small, medium-sized business to raise up to $1 million on an annual basis without having to pay and comply, pay for the really costly compliance to satisfy the costly compliance requirements of traditional securities law. And Title IV allows them to raise up to $50 million on an annual basis, and there's a little more compliance that goes along with it. So we're operating under that space, but it's also true that you've got a problem with Title III portals. There's a few of them out there. AngelList opened one up. It's called Republic. I think it's Indiegogo just opened theirs up last week. Let's see, Start Engine is one. There's a few of them, but the problem is, if you buy a security, now what are you going to do with it? You might want to sell it. You might need money. You might need to liquidate the security. Title III and Title IV don't provide for you to do that. And so if you really want to build a capital market for small businesses, you need to provide your users with liquidity. And we found that we would need a broker-dealer license to do that. So that's something that we're going to have. So
you're not market making?
No, the technology can actually market make. These days, market making, I mean, we have a matching engine for a secondary market, but the technology should be able to take care of that. In fact, I would say this is the big thing that True North has innovated on. We've been able to figure out how to replicate all the financial services of a modern day investment bank, but without the actual investment bankers themselves, and so therefore without the costs. And that's a new kind of investment banking services we provide for the issuers, the businesses on the platform, but also the retail investors. I mean, investment bankers provide a really crucial set of financial services for traditional capital market actors. They do underwriting, that you just alluded to one, they market make. They provide research services. They do brokerage services. They do asset management. The problem is investment banks are really expensive because they have to afford that second house in the Hamptons, right? So what we figured out was cutting edge technologies actually allow us to provide a set of decentralized investment banking services so that the actors that populate our platform, which are retail investors and small businesses, can, in essence, enjoy all the financial services of a modern day investment bank, but without the investment bank itself. So,
sorry, Tatiana, you go for it.
No, you can go ahead.
Are you drowning in paperwork, like regulatory paperwork? I mean, it's being in the States, it sounds like a nightmare.
No, it's actually not that bad. In fact, one of the nice things about operating, I mean, I'm no fan of the SEC, but one of the nice things about the SEC is it's a rules-based regime. So we can actually use smart contracts to engage in a little bit of regulatory arbitrage to circumvent what otherwise would be regulatory burdens for us. So we've just been trying to make use of, I mean, that's sort of one of our use cases for blockchain, is that because the SEC is, unlike Europe, a rules-based regime, not a spirit-based regime, right? We can actually just engage in regulatory arbitrage on behalf of our users the same way financial institutions have historically been doing it, whether it's with credit derivatives or securitization, or whatever the case may be. So,
how many people are on your team, and how far along are you guys in the project? When can people anticipate being able to use this, and what would be the criteria for somebody to invest in one of these businesses?
To invest in one of the businesses? Okay, yeah. So we're a team of 8, and we're going live in the Bay Area with 50 business offerings and 50,000 users this summer. And so what we're focused on right now is just gaining traction with those.
How do you find the users? Who are the users? Could I be a user, or do you have to be an accredited investor? I mean, is there some sort of, what are the qualifications for someone
Title
to invest?
III specifically for unaccredited investors. If you have investable wealth and you're tired of funding your bank, right now, all the money we're not using is being used to fund our bank, right? The bank's taking it and it's lending it out to small businesses to get a 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 15% rate of return, right? Do they give that money back to you?
Of course
You
not.
don't need that money. No, you feel happy to get free checking, right? So anybody who is tired of funding their bank can turn around and now fund their small business. And if you have liquid secondary market, you should be able to exit the investment whenever you want. So in other words, what I'm trying to actually do is put out of business the banking industry.
Good. Why? What did you find? Because you have a banking background. What were you frustrated by that kind of drove you into this field?
So I have a background in finance. Mm-hmm. And what drew me to finance is the same thing that drew me to blockchain. And it's that you had these really fungible plastic technologies that were very powerful and had important effects on people's lives. But when I looked at the banking industry, I didn't think that it looked, when I looked at the financial industry, it just looked like it was a little bit outdated. It didn't seem like it was actually providing, like financial services industry, ironically, it does not really provide good financial services for people. And so what I thought was, looking at Title III, well, here's an opportunity to actually bootstrap from scratch a new financial industry, right? So what would it look like if we had a financial industry where people were actually investing in their community and getting a rate of return for doing that? We actually already do, but we have the banks and the entire financial industry that's standing in the way, right? And that kind of intermediation can be actually today just pulled out and put in new technologies, so you could actually now have really a financial industry that is populated by the people who are doing finance. So one of the things we talk about on True North is, finance today is something that's abstract, it's cold, it's like kind of, it's something that happens to you. But on True North, finance is something that people do. You like a coffee shop and it's issuing notes, go buy a note from the coffee shop. You like a startup and you like the product or service that it offers, why not own a little piece of it?
But what protections do you have for the investors? Are there none, or how does that work? And can you specifically choose which business versus spreading it out over multiple businesses, your investment?
Yeah, so ultimately you are going to want to create indexes and get diversification if the platform is going to be sustainable for people in the long run, especially if they're investing in startups. You're going to have diversification. With notes, if our automated underwriting models and risk profiling models do their job correctly, then we should be selecting businesses who actually, we should actually have a pretty low rate of default. There's actually, Tatiana, 29 small businesses in the United States. True North actually is not interested in about 23 million of them. The 23 million of them don't have good financials. You can't get a lot of price relevant information on them. And so our models are not going to be able to evaluate what the risk profile of them are. And I don't want to create a junk market for small business financial securities. So what we're interested in is that sweet spot of small businesses who are good entrepreneurs. They have a good product or service, but for whatever reason, they've just been historically underserviced by the financial industry. I'll give you one example. We've got this use case from this guy. This is actually a real guy. I've just changed his name to respect his privacy. And he runs a flower business. He's a first-generation Mexican-American, so he's not a U.S. citizen, but he has a legally incorporated U.S. business. His business is called Gonzalez Flowers. And what Gonzalez Flowers does is provides wholesale flower distribution services throughout Southern California to shopping malls and casinos. And he wants to raise, he generates about $10 million in revenue, and he wants to raise about $1 million to expand his flower distribution business. He wants to hire a couple new workers. new drivers, and he wants to buy a few new trucks. Now, this guy is a good borrower. He can pay back the $1 million in loans that he's wants to take out. But he has fallen through the cracks in the financial industry. He goes to a bank and he can't get an SBA loan. He goes and tries to file for a CNI loan, and he gets the runaround there. It's a friction-filled process, the small bank lending process. And then on top of it, even if he can get a loan, he's going to be looking at paying like 12 or 13%. That's too high for him. He shouldn't have to pay that much. He can come on to True North and issue $1 million in notes, and people are going to be loving getting a 7 or 8% rate of return from this guy. So this is the kind of use case I'm talking about. Not sexy, really exciting. Right? But it works.
Oh no, I think it's very sexy. I think that that's fantastic because I think that a lot of our problems would be alleviated if people were able to flourish in their small businesses. And as a small business owner, I find it to be very difficult. And my father is an entrepreneur. My mother is an entrepreneurial spirit. So I think that that's essential to making America great again. Dare I say it?
Yeah. But
it's not, I mean, that's the American dream, right? Entrepreneurship, you know.
The phrase.
Right.
Doesn't resonate with me, but yeah.
No, but you know, I'm making a joke.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, you know, whenever you want to, you can come on to True North and we can set you up with something.
That's very interesting. So how difficult will it be for businesses? Are they going to run into a brick wall when it comes to you? How do you vet these businesses?
So to begin with, we need to do this manually. I'm going to hand select small businesses, and I've got a list of them. I know who they are. We'll start out in the Bay Area, and then we'll just sort of roll out on a city by city basis gradually. Austin, Seattle, most of the metropolitan areas where there's a flourishing of small businesses who are underserved by the financial industry. So True North will come to a city near you eventually, and we'll scale out across the United States. And I think when we're in our maximum, we'll probably have somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 offerings on a monthly basis. So imagine coming on a platform and there's just a flurry of capital activity across the United States, and you can set your filter to go to your community. Maybe, in somewhere in New Jersey, you can see a map of all the businesses that are doing notes offerings or doing shares offerings. Maybe you walk by a business and you get a push notification that the business is doing an offering, and you can go and you can bid on it just like you would in kind of a thrilling eBay style auction within a range of prices that we have set based on our underwriting model.
Excellent. I think that's really interesting. I'm very curious to see how it comes on. When you launch, maybe you can come back on the show and give us an update. Josh, did you have any more questions?
I've got a heap of questions, but I think we're out of time. I'd be
delighted to come back on. So maybe we could schedule something for when we go live.
Yeah, please keep us posted. I think this is great. This is the kind of stuff I want to see being built. It's not complaining, it's actual solution building. So congratulations on your progress, and I wish you all the best.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Thanks, Ben.
Okay.
So we're going to bring on our next guest, but I wanted to remind people to please check out the bitcoincpa.com. Kirk has been giving us a hand, and he's been helping me with my tax torture. And let me assure you that it is torture. As far as Bitcoin has come, the tax process is still not that easy, but that's why Kirk's there, him and his team.
Especially for the people in the US, that are buying off Coinbase all the time. Coinbase have just been told by the IRS that they're going to do a whole John Doe sweep of everybody. So make sure your taxes are in order. Get in touch with the Bitcoin CPA. Absolutely.
And then also our friends over at Crypto Compare, they're big supporters of the show. Vlad is awesome. I met with him in London. So if people want to get information about a whole bunch of different things, I think that there's a Vaultoro feed or something going on there.
Yeah. You can price now every crypto in gold. So you can actually check crypto value against an actual asset instead of some paper nonsense that nobody actually knows the true value of.
Excellent. And last thing, Anarchapulco, if you use the code Tatiana, you get 10% off your ticket price. I have been discussing ad nauseum whether or not I'll be going to Anarchapulco for weeks. And I still have not made my decision, but regardless, if you want to go and have a good time and go to Mexico in February where it's freezing, or to escape the freezing cold, you can use that code and save 10%. Let's bring on our next guest, Mike Harder from BitStashers. BitStashers.com is joining us. And Mike, how's it going? You're on mute, buddy.
Got to click that little mic
there
at the top.
we go.
Oh, perfect.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Yeah, well, it's going well. It's going well. Thanks for having me on the show. It's very exciting to be on here and to be able to talk about our product and what we do and get the awareness out there.
Excellent. So yeah, fill me in a little bit about what's your background and what is BitStashers?
My background is I'm a trained industrial designer, so I have a passion for design, making stuff, just improving everything, just trying to improve the design of the world. So how BitStashers came to play is, a lot of people, they hear Bitcoin, they don't understand it. It's a digital thing. They don't understand, that numbers are a wallet or an address, and that's where they keep it. So the goal of BitStashers was kind of to create Bitcoin physical, make Bitcoin physical. So we started off doing laser engraved cold storage wallets. And from there, we're doing outreach. We do giveaways. We work with organizations to be able to, provide them solutions for their customers, to really educate a new Bitcoin user, that scams are rampant everywhere. So we want to start new Bitcoin users off with a secure place to store their Bitcoins. And from there, we're branching out into, other products. Starting slow now, but we want to working with businesses to be able to create signage for, Bitcoin here. We accept Bitcoin, Bitcoin ATMs. So that's really the deal with BitStashers. We've been around for 18 months. Very slow. Bitcoin is a trust-based system, so we're doing our job to gain the trust of our customers, purchasers, users, and whatnot.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you because the thing about hardware wallets is that you really have to trust. People talk about actually Bitcoin being trustless, but in actual fact, you need to trust the software writers, because if you don't write software, you can't check it. So you kind of have to trust that other people will audit it for you. If you're getting hardware wallets, you have to trust the hardware. What sort of steps are you taking to minimize the trust that people need?
Well, we have a couple options. We have an air-gapped computer that we downloaded a paper wallet generator, verified it through the PGP key to ensure that no malware was installed. So we give the option for the customer, and of course we use the BIP38 encryption. So we encrypt the password, but also we allow the customer to provide the address themselves. And if the private key is encrypted with the BIP38 encryption algorithm, they could send the private key and they don't have any worries as long as they keep the password safe that they encrypted with. So we give both options, but we actually get a lot of unique use cases. Some people just put a private key or a public key on it, and they use that as a way to flash payments. You don't need to necessarily.
Sorry, man. On this show, there's a lot of listeners that aren't too technical. So let's walk through a use case. What is this thing? You're seeing a physical little box, or what do you buy from?
It's a metal business card sized blank. We do various sizes or various colors and various materials. We do stainless steel, which can withstand 1,300 degrees fire. So we encourage those for people that really want to store their Bitcoins safely. We do the anodized aluminum ones, which I believe we have 9 different colors going right now. To make it a little bit more fun, give people the chance to personalize how they store their Bitcoins. We also do dog tags, so people could wear their Bitcoin, Bitcoin wallet address on them. And we're also getting into bottle openers. I think that bars and restaurants are a great place to introduce Bitcoin. If bartenders can accept tips from Bitcoin right on their bottle opener, that's something that we're pushing for. So
yeah, right.
You know,
now we just got to get more people to actually have Bitcoin in order to tip the bartenders on their thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we do a lot of giveaways. We're currently right now for Christmas, we're giving away 10 different wallets, but we're making people work for them. And in that way, we're educating them in Bitcoin. You know, we're asking them a question about Bitcoin. They have to go and retrieve the answer. So that's getting them to research it a little bit more and to become more well-versed.
How are you interacting with these people on social media or something?
Yeah, we're doing social media, Twitter, forums. I actually have 2 people that I work with. I wouldn't say they work with me. We partnered in the plan. One was John Burrows, and he does the graphics and the web, and as well as you know, creating banner ads and everything for outreach on the internet. And then the other person we partnered with is Matt Baldock. And he is amazing at marketing and social networking. Originally, it was just me and John working, and our outreach really wasn't there. You know, it was tough. We realized that we needed someone to plug it and to really work with it. And since we brought Matt on, our likes, our retweets, our follows, everything has you know, really improved. And all 3 of us understand that this is a long road. We're not looking to get rich quick. We're looking to provide a product to help people. And if we are honest and provide a good product, the business will come in. So we're not, you know, not scraping for money, not, you know, anything like that. And all our equipment that we use is 100% owned. We have absolutely 0 debt. You know, if I don't sell a wallet today, it doesn't hurt me whatsoever. So really, we created it, you know, for the Bitcoin people. And we also do custom designs. Like, I'm an industrial designer, John's a graphic designer. You know, if someone wants something special on their wallet, really to make it their own and personalized.
How many do they need to order though in order to do that? What's the minimum?
I will do a custom design for them for 1.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's good.
For 1, yeah. Cool. Our intention is to get people involved and, you know, really have them own things. You know, if they get involved in the design process, you know, they learn more and they get excited about it. And that's really what we want, is we want people excited about Bitcoin, because in our opinion, you know, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is the future.
Yeah, I'd love to see some YouTube stars wearing it, because YouTube stars, you know, they're sitting there in front of the camera, and then it's a great way to tip them as well. I've often thought I'd like to tip this person, and I can't. But it'd be nice if they had a little tag on, and you go bleep.
Well, I don't know if you could go on YouTube. You'd probably just be better off putting the actual address in the show notes. But
yeah,
but you can't scan that with your phone. It's so annoying. You get this big long address, and you have to like make a QR. It goes against everything. Bitcoin's meant to be easy.
Absolutely. Well,
one more thing, we're actually sponsoring CoinFest UK 2017.
Oh, what's that about?
In April. It's like the, you know, like the CoinFest in the United States. Just it's a, you know, big festival for Bitcoin awareness. There'll be speakers presenting, and actually our marketing guy Matt Baldock is actually going to be doing a couple presentations there, a couple talks.
Great.
So what we're going to do is we're going to provide wallets for them to give away to people there. And we're also going to, you know, once again, a way to make Bitcoin fun is we're going to attempt the bit caching. It's like geocaching, except people will find it loaded with Bitcoin already. And the way we're doing, you know, the CoinFest 2017 is we're getting sponsors. So on one side of the card, it would be, you know, the other side of the card would be the company that sponsored it, and the company that sponsored that card will load it with a little bit of Bitcoin. So not only will people be, you know, people that went to the CoinFest, you know, they'll be able to get a wallet. It'll already have Bitcoin on it, and then the company that sponsored it is advertising every time someone shows that card that they got. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah,
for both parties. It's a a unique idea. So
when is that event?
That event is in beginning of April. I don't know the exact dates off the top of my head, but I can email them to you.
You know, I'm supposed to be in Europe in April, in the beginning of April. So you definitely have to, because if I can make it out there, that would be really nice. Maybe I could sing some songs or something.
That would be great. I really do think it's the beginning of April. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Good. Well, we'll have to link up about that after the show, and we're coming up on the end right now. But Mike, where can people catch up with you and also, participate maybe in these holiday promotions that you're doing?
They can follow us on our Facebook page. That's the Facebook blah 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 /BitStashers. They can follow us on Twitter, which is @BitStashers.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of giveaways through there and a lot of links into Facebook. We're always looking for input. Eventually, once there's enough interest, we want to do design contests where people submit designs for a wallet. The wallet gets voted on, and then that wallet would get sold for a period of time, say a week. And then every one of those wallets that are sold, a portion of that to the designer's charity of choice. So it's kind of an incentive for them to design something. It's getting the community involved. We don't look at us as a 3-person business. We look at us as a business that's engulfs the whole entire Bitcoin community. So we're always looking for input, and that's that. We're just trying to get people involved and feel like they could work with us, talk to us, approach us. Not a problem. And that's one of the reasons why I was excited to be on this, because Bitcoin is anonymous, and I want people to put a face to the company. I want them to know that I'm a real person, and that we're real people doing this work, and we're not sitting behind the scenes trying to find ways to take their Bitcoin and not give it back to them.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate that very much, Mike. Everybody check it out. Makes a good Christmas gift. And thank you very much, Ben, also for joining us. I really like all the progress that mankind is making right now. It's very, very good stuff. So before we wrap up the show, we broadcast on several different networks. We're here at Liberty.me as one of our main hosts. Then we air on IPM Nation and also LRN.FM. Yes. And then also on Let's Talk Bitcoin, where they have a magic word. So today's magic phrase, I'm going to set it myself, is power to the people. Because that's what I'm inspired to say after watching this show and hearing about all this innovation. So if LTB listeners, power to the people. 4 words.
Yeah. Bring it on.
Awesome.
ATTP.
All right. Thanks again to our sponsors, Crypto Compare and Bitcoin CPA. And, in Acapulco, Tatiana is the coupon code if you want to go and save 10%. Anything else, everybody? Or that's it?
I will add to the power to the people.
Okay.
We will create a coupon code called Power to the People, which will be good for 10% off anything in our store.
Fantastic.
I'll have a web designer do that right after this. So we'll get that up by the evening, and we'll run that through Christmas. So Power to the People, 10% off a wallet, protect your bits.
Awesome. All right. I like it. Thank you, everybody. And we'll be doing another show in just a few minutes. So if people are watching this live and they want to check back in, I'm going to be bringing in some folks. So thanks, everyone. And I'll see you all in a little bit.
All right.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Ciao.